Hi guys. Final week of the Six Nations. Yeah, gotta say I'm deflated after last week. As an Ireland fan, you can't help but feel like, fuck's sake, it's pretty a foregone conclusion, isn't it? I have my whiteboard with me right here, but as my marker's running low, I'm not gonna use it because I'm gonna make my final team of the week, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a team of the Six Nations, so the best players overall. And just bear in mind as well that the players overall might not have gotten much mention in that list, but that's just simply because they're playing against easier opposition, or some players shown more on the big stage, shall we say. Um, Gotta say now, and I've said it before, not very impressed with the home nations. I think that the selection will be based on who hasn't fucked up more than who's outstanding. And you think back to previous Lions tours, I really think to myself, this one's not very impressive. Like the one in 2021 wasn't great. It was basically who wasn't shit as opposed to who was excellent. Like, normally you'd struggle because there's so many good players. You're like, who do we start? We're spoiled for choice. That's not the case now. Yeah, like especially in big positions. Like I think Andrew Porter is definitely the loose head. And hooker, I think it has to be Irish because Luke Cowan-Dickey and Jamie George haven't been great. Jamie George only back and he's a good leader, so it's good to have him around. But like with Scotland, you think Ewan Ashman and Johnny Matthews should have been starting. Why the hell you pick Dave Cherry? I don't think he's a great player, and he seems to have an attitude problem. Johnny Matthews was the top try scorer in the URC, and Ewan Ashman's a beast. Really powerful athlete, but he only comes on off the bench for Dave Cherry, so didn't really get to see the best of Ewan Ashman. And based off those performances, I wouldn't have picked him. But before the tournament, I would have. I would have said him and Johnny Matthews. But here we are at fly half. The home nations fly halves have been woeful. They've been so bad. Finn Russell and Marcus Smith have been, very average. Like I had Marcus Smith down as a dead starter. He was definitely going to be in my team, and he hasn't impressed me. Not really. There's a lot of head throwing and flicking. There's a real arrogance with them. Him and Finn Russell. And then I thought against Scotland, Prendergast showed that maybe he could be the Lions fly half, but he was again not great against France or Wales. So you got to be consistent if you want that jersey. So that I can't pick him for that either. Um, I would have said Jack Crowley had he been given any game time. We're going to see him tomorrow against Italy. We're going to see how he manages the game. Too little, too fucking late. It's too long. We should have played him sooner, and I don't like the way everyone's blaming Simon Easterby. It's not his fault. He's basically just being given orders. People are relaying orders to him, no doubt, and he's just carrying it out. So it's not fair to blame him. He's the intern boss. He's not going to want to make big changes, especially not when he looks for a career as a head coach. He's not going to want to rock the boat and make massive changes. But Andy Farrell probably should have been doing that, or if there's the stuff shirts of the IRFU getting involved, they need to start, saying it's time for a change. We have the depth. I've said it before. I've made a video on it. We're just not picking the players. The depth is there, and I made a video asking, do we have the depth? Recently, because I'm like, well, are we actually picking the players? And that's a different story altogether. Um, yeah, it's not good. I think we got the kick up the arse that we desperately needed because we've been carrying on like things are hunky dory in Irish rugby, and they really aren't. Um, Everything was in our hands going into this weekend. It should have been last weekend. We had a chance to beat a French side that were up for it. We knew they would be, but you can't complain. They lost Dupont early on, and Maxime Luca had an absolutely great game. He played really well, but we just didn't show up. You know, um, Simple as. Few refereeing decisions, sure, I accept that, but we weren't good enough. There was a lack of desire and hunger in that Ireland team. And as I say, 13 tries, 8 of them by forwards, 5 of them by backs. Simply not good enough from our backs. They've lacked in creativity. I think that tells you all you need to know. We haven't had the creativity that we need, which is terrible. And it's come back to bite us in the arse big time. And if you also think about poor game management, we should have sealed that game against England, yet we let them get a losing bonus point. So now, not only do we have to worry about France, but we have to worry about England as well. What we should have done was deny England that losing bonus point. We should have won 27-15. Conor Murray, who's brought on for game management, who's too old now and has been, and everybody's been saying it, but they keep picking him regardless. And he gives the ball straight back to England with 15 seconds left and they score a try. And terrible tackling. Ireland's tackling has been shocking. And Prendergast has led the way with the most missed tackles in the whole thing. So, yeah, not great. Like, France cut England open, so did Scotland. So they showed the blueprint on how to beat England. Italy scored against them as well and cut them open. So it's not as if England are, amazing in defence. They're good at the front on tackles, I will say that. But they're vulnerable in defence, and France, if they had taken their chances, would have scored way more. The France chance. But, no, Ireland have only themselves to blame. And it's a chance to make history. They had another chance after blowing a back-to-back Grand Slam, which they should have won. Nobody was good enough to beat them, apart from the French, and we beat the French in the first round, so losing to England was just because of a lack of desire. There's a presumption they're going to win, and they're not. And I mean, I have to say, I do think they're arrogant now. I wouldn't have said it before. I think there's an arrogance and a presumption that they're going to win. And so many excuses. Like, how many excuses can you give? We don't have the size, we don't have the speed. Well, if you're not big enough, you've got to be fast. If you don't have either of those things, then why the fuck are you playing rugby? You got to have the fundamental stuff. And our wonderful systems aren't working so well. We have to rely on the forwards to get all the tries. But anyway, we should put on a big score against Italy, but it probably won't be enough. As I say, we let England get the losing bonus point. Not only that, we didn't get a winning bonus point against the Welsh. We should have. I said it before, a minimum of a bonus point win is what I'm expecting against Wales. You could say Wales played out of their skin. I don't think they did. I think there's an improvement, but we should have gotten the bonus point win. Scotland put 5 tries against Wales. France beat them with 7 tries. They did better against Italy, but I mean, it's Italy at the end of the day, and they didn't really click. They were going for a win. They wanted to get at least one win on the board, which you can understand. We should beat Italy tomorrow, but nothing's a foregone conclusion, and if we don't bring it, the Italians certainly will. And there's that lack of desire that I've seen. We have to win with a bonus point, and then we have to hope that other teams do us favours. Because all England need to do is win with a bonus point win. And if France do slip up against Scotland and England win with a bonus point win, England win the whole thing. And everybody's been shitting all over England saying how terrible they are. But if they win it, they'll have won it through desire that we didn't have. Not through talent, but through sheer desire and passion, which gets you a long way, Look at that Welsh comeback against Scotland, which was very impressive, I have to say. Credit where it's due. And Talupe Faletau, I really wished for him that he had gotten that try. He deserves it so much. What a warrior, It'd be great if he makes the Lions tour. It really would. When all's said and done, I want to give a shout out as well to Jamie George, because a great leader, he really is. Just not in his best form, but I've no doubt he'll be a leader in the Lions tour, so you need a player like that. But Talupe Faletau is one that we love. And as well, give a great send-off to Peter O'Mahony, Conor Murray and Cian Healy. But you don't want to remember them as being bad. You want to remember them as being good. Healy's not starting at the weekend. Jack Boyle's getting a chance. So I hope he gets on for good minutes to prove himself. I imagine that they'll wait until there's a good lead. You don't want to really chuck him in the deep end. But Andrew Porter, God love him, needs a bit of a rest. And then Tadhg Furlong is back, which is great news. Really good news. Yeah, he'll probably make the Lions tour, but if he stays fit, because I don't think the tight heads have been amazing. Will Stewart's been okay, and I say okay, but he's not very fit, and good in the scrums, but he's definitely improved, I will say that. And he's played consistently, so if Tadhg Furlong's not consistent, you couldn't really justify selecting him ahead of Will Stewart, so Alexander Ferguson for me is probably going to be the starting tight head, given how many big minutes he can play. and how consistent he's been. Not out of sheer talent, but just out of, you know, consistency and just being there. Got a good engine on him. Andrew Porter be the starting new set, but disappointing. And disappointing for Roddy Lawrence as well, who won't make the Lions tour. As good as he has been in parts, his Achilles tendon, he's going to get an operation on it because he got an injury. But yeah, it's a shame, you know, but it gives other lads an opportunity. I mean, as bad as it is, but it does give other lads an opportunity to state their case, and claim that jersey, either 12 or 13, you know. But yeah, I'm afraid it's going to be a foregone conclusion. Though Scotland have beaten France in France before, so the French can be unpredictable. Nobody, except for me, thought they were going to lose against England, but they did. And then I think a lot of people predicted they were going to beat Ireland. They thought they would, and wishful thinking on my part. I genuinely did believe Ireland would win by like 2 or 3 points, but I didn't think that performance would come from Ireland. I didn't think Ireland would be that bad. I knew what the French would bring. They brought kind of exactly what I was expecting, but I knew that. I thought Ireland would know that too, but clearly they didn't. You know, they were shocking, really bad. Lack of desire and having to rely on three forwards, two of which came off the bench to get your tries, tells you all you need to know. Just no desire, no fight in the belly whatsoever. Um, so yeah, you know that sums Ireland up in one. You can say they have the talent or they don't or whatever. Just don't have the desire. The fire in the belly isn't there. And after letting us down in the World Cup, which they did, after letting us down with not getting back-to-back Grand Slams, you had a chance again to make history and go 3 from 3 in the Six Nations, and they've let us down on that again. It's going to look like anyway, and even if they do win it, it's kind of like meh. Like when they won the Triple Crown, because they beat Wales, Scotland and England. Nobody was really celebrating because it was a shy performance against the Welsh team. You know, so you're kind of there thinking, really anything to celebrate with that performance. By not getting a bonus point there, you know, we would have been on 15 going into this, and that's why you need to win your games when you do, in case you have a fuck up like we did against the French. Had our attack been anyway decent, we would have put on at least 4 tries. Osborne with a terrible pass to Ringrose, as he said. Like, he has not been good, and I've been singing his praises, but he needs to do more. Jamie Osborne, you know, it's a chance for him to, as I say, state his case and say, I deserve that jersey. He hasn't proven himself in it, you know. I just think Ireland's attack is flat. It's boring. Prendergast has done exactly what I gave out about Finn Russell doing, which is throwing a pass when it's clearly not on and just shoveling the blame onto somebody else. And he's missed countless amounts of tackles. I think it's at this point it's like 18, 19, isn't it? Like, that's not good enough. He's a human speed bump, if even. You know, he's just a liability in defence, which seems to be a trend with Irish fly halves, unfortunately. And basically, like, he's missing 5 tackles a game on average, which is simply not good enough. And look, he's still young, but 13 appearances for Leinster does not justify you starting in the Ireland 10 jersey. And he hasn't done enough when he has gotten his opportunity for me. Like, when you think of how easily Jack Crowley was displaced and Kieran Frawley, why was Prendergast allowed to stay? He's made lots of errors, but still they're sticking with him. And you show confidence in him, I get that, but he hasn't been good enough, and they've stuck with him, and it's cost us. So, you know, I think this is a kick up the arse that Ireland need. They're not as unbeatable as they think, and they need to do more. You know, they need to invest in the game more, because it's the system we're using is not working. They can shine on as much as they want about our wonderful academies. Clearly, they're not working. Because the under-20s are playing terribly and getting hammered. Getting beaten by a 13-man England and a Welsh team, who everybody's saying are up shit creek without a paddle. So what does that make us? Up shit creek without a boat. Drowning. So yeah, I think it's pretty much a foregone conclusion unless there's a miracle from Scotland. And I was going to say a Scotland win, but that's wishful thinking at its best. I think France will beat Scotland 42-23. I think they're going to get a win. You know, Scotland will put on a few tries against them, no doubt, but Louis Bielbarré has a chance to make history, and I think the record is 8 tries in the Six Nations, and I think he'll get a few more tomorrow. He's been exceptional. He gets two every game when he has, so 8 in 4 matches is incredible, incroyable. Can he get 10 in 5? We shall see, because Scotland, while they're good attacking, they can be cut open defensively at times. Damien Penaud as well, is finding form. Even when he's not playing his best, he still gets 2 tries in 2 games. So yeah, he's unbelievable. Gail Ficku's back as well, I believe. So yeah, hard to see Scotland getting a win, isn't it? Unless France have an absolute shit the bed moment and implode. But yeah, 42-23 I think it'll be. And that'll be France winning the whole thing. I was hoping they wouldn't beat us, but I didn't think they'd get a winning bonus point against us. But we had no fight, no desire. We didn't deserve to win that game, and rightfully we lost. It's not good enough at all. And as I say, shifting a bonus point to England and not getting one against Wales means that England could still win it as well. So it's not just France we have to worry about. England against Wales, though, I think will be tighter. I don't think Wales are going to beat England, but I think it's going to be a tight game. And I believe England will win that by 22 points to 15. It'll be a tight encounter. I think it'll be passion from the Welsh, but I fancy England to get over the line. And I imagine Finn Smith will carry on kicking, and he's been in good form. He's been very good. Definitely putting himself his hand up for a Lions selection. He's been the most accomplished fly half I've seen. So I mean, if Jack Crowley has a good game, it could be between him and Finn Smith for that Lions jersey. Finn Russell's been woeful, terrible. He never shows up in the big occasions. He had an alright game against Wales, to be fair, but the pressure's off really. We'll see if he goes against the French tomorrow. That'll be exciting though. Like, I always love watching rugby, and the final weekend of the Six Nations is great. I have a few cans of Guinness for sure, in my pint glass, of course. Celebrating style. Get that iron into me after a long week. Been a good week, but a long week, and I'm looking forward to a bit of rugby. But even as I say, if Ireland do win, it's going to be sloppy. But I fancy England to beat Wales 22-15. 7 points, tight game, and yeah, hopefully they don't win with the bonus point. Like, even if, like, see, the thing is, they beat Italy with a bonus point win, so they've got that, so they're on 15. So if they get another 5, they've won it if France don't win. And all France have to do is win. If France win with a bonus point, which I think they definitely could, then that's theirs, you know. So they've gotten the bonus points in the big games, and they got a losing bonus point against England. So even though they didn't take their chances a lot of the times, they still got that losing bonus point, which is so important. That was their slip-up game. I don't imagine they'll have another one, to be honest. And they've a massive points difference. I think it's enormous. So yeah, not looking good for our chances. It's 106 points difference that France have, because beat Wales 43-0, beat Italy 74-28. They beat us obviously 42-27. But then England as well. Like, England have won 2 games by a point, so they're the new South Africa. But they've also got a good win against Italy. So their points difference, I think they have 7 points more than us. So if they are to get a win, like, we're going to need France to lose, right? And England can still win, and we can still win the whole thing overall. But, geez, now we're really doing the maths, aren't we? We're going to have to beat Italy by a good score. If England do win by my prediction, then they'll be 14 points ahead of us, which means we need to beat Italy by at least 15. So, you know, you could have wrapped it up, made it easier. It makes it more exciting, I will say, because everything has to go our way. But no, it's not in our hands, sadly. But we have to win. That's a must. And hope that other teams do us a favour. But even if France only win, say 33 points to 30, they've got the whole thing, 20 points. England need to win with a bonus point, but it's highly unlikely they're going to catch France for points difference. France have given themselves a nice cushion there, a nice buffer. Um, yeah, highly unlikely that England will catch them because I'm just thinking we beat them by 5, and then they beat Scotland and France by a single point, and then 23 they beat Italy by, so that puts them on plus 20, and France are on plus 106. Don't know about you, but I don't fancy England to beat Wales by 86 points. But anyway, so it's France 42, Scotland 23, England 22, Wales 15, and then our game against Italy, which I do think we'll win. I think we'll go out and we'll give a good account of ourselves, but it could be too little too late, and probably will be. 33-10 to Ireland, I believe. I think we're going to go out there. I think Crowley will give us a lot more in attack than what Prendergast has. No disrespect to him, but he's not ready. He's proved that he's not ready at this level, and it's not fair to put him in ahead of Jack Crowley and Kieran Frawley. He hasn't justified his selection at all, and he's shown his inexperience. So I'm really happy that Jack Crowley's finally starting, but too little too late. We should have done that from the beginning. Crowley should have been our starting fly half for the whole thing. Or if you're going to take off, or if you're going to bring on Crowley, take Prendergast off. Give Prendergast 50 minutes, bring Crowley on for 30 to close the game out, if that's what you're doing. But they're hell-bent on keeping Prendergast on, and he looked gassed. He didn't even look fit for that game against France. He looked like he was out on his feet. If you can't tackle, your kicking's not great, you better be fit, and able to run, and he doesn't seem to be able to, so I don't know, it just seems like they've deemed him the golden boy, but he hasn't proved it. And like I say, it's not his fault, he's a young fella. Give him time to develop at Leinster. He's only come out of under 20s, really. He hasn't been long out of it, so it's a lot of pressure to put on a young man's shoulders, and he has shoulders like Sexton as well. Shoulders like a snake. Remember an Aussie fella said that to Johnny Sexton. Jeez, we need to build sturdier fly halves, don't we, in Ireland? We build really frail fly halves. Yeah, but oh well. So yeah, Ireland 33, Italy 10, England 22, Wales 15, France 42, Scotland 23. And those are my predictions. I'm not going to put it on the whiteboard because I'd be sick rubbing stuff out and putting stuff in. Well, my predictions haven't been as good since I stopped using it, so I might have to go back to it. But then I'm going to pick a team of the tournament, the best players, I think. And there'll be a lot of players that are just there by process of elimination, because I do think there's been a lot of very unimpressive players, which is sad to say, but not being overly inspired in the hooker department or in the front row in general. Credit to Italy's front row, who've been very good. Second rows, you're kind of thinking Ireland have kind of been good in that area, but not consistent at all as a team. But yeah, back row now has been a contested area, and there'll be a few debates about that. Scrum half, yeah, been a few that have impressed me, but people will have a chance to stake their claim for the ultimate team. But yeah, look, we shall see. And alright guys, those are my predictions. And come on Ireland, I hope we win. But yeah, be the first team to be 3 in a row. But we'll have to find out tomorrow. Okay, see you guys.